Check testing 1, 2. All right, looks like we're on. Clearly a downtrend coming into today. It's possible that there's already a break here. I would say it's probably likely there's already a break here, but I guess you could draw it a little bit wider here. So this could also be the case, but I'm going to play it like this for now and then just see how it plays out. And I'm locking up my phone for 2.5 hours. I always do this. So that way it's not a distraction to me. So I'll put it on Do Not Disturb, and then I have a little timed lockbox that I got off Amazon. And I'll lock up my phone in there. So that way I don't even have the option of using it. Because I know in the past, I used to just keep my phone up and it would be a huge distraction. I'd have people calling and texting, and I'd be scrolling on social media and such, and it was just, yeah, not great for trying to stay focused on the chart. Woke up a little bit late this morning. Well, I woke up on time, but decided to sleep for 20 more minutes. So I did not work out this morning. Then I also had to run another errand early this morning, so did not have a chance to work out. Did eat breakfast. I'm sipping on some tea right now, and yeah, ready for the day. So it looks like a clear downtrend here. I would say the downtrend has a break and new low, and the retest trend also has a break and new low. I'm leaning towards this downtrend that I have here being correct instead of it being wider because of prices playing off right here. So you can see prices broke it and then got a break a new low and then sort of came back within this level. So yeah, that's why I'm leaning towards this one being right, but it's possible that it might be a little bit wider. So just gonna play this. If we get an entry off the EMA, I'm not going to take it because this already looks like a clear break and new low to me. And I've been trapped too many times trying to take a trade like that. It's confusing to me to know when to take a trade after there's already a break and new extreme. It's like, when are you expecting the momentum to continue? And sometimes in a strong trend, I'll risk that, but most of the time, I don't really think it's worth risking. So nothing to do here, just hanging out, waiting for the open, expecting a possible reversal, maybe a congestive area. Of course, it's also possible prices just continue to trend down, and this ends up being a larger downtrend day. So very up in the air right now for me. I changed around where I had my mic position. Before I had it kind of like off to the left, and I have 2 monitors. So I was looking at, or I mainly look at the screen off to the right. So hopefully this sounds a little bit better now that it's kind of like front and center. I didn't think I was going to be able to trade today because I had a meeting set up for this morning. Then I realized that there's a really bad storm coming through here. And the person I was supposed to meet with was an hour and a half away. So we decided to reschedule for next week, which I am fine with because I'm trying to reschedule on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, which will not be a trading day anyway, I don't think. So that will not really take away from my trading, which is great. Just want to check and make
Order
sure that
submitted.
Apex is working here. And it looks like it is.
Order canceled.
Getting really close to the open now. It's looking like there's still a down bias in the market. So price is continuing to move down, even though to me it looks like everything is played out. So there might be a wider trend in play. Going to draw that one that I was looking at earlier to see if that comes into play at all. Looks like you're in like a little bit of a range type of area right here. A possible trade would be to take this failed breakout of the range, but I'm not going to take that. I'm a little bit too uncertain about what's going on right now. So you're just getting one leg up right now. Let's see if prices are able to confirm this downtrend or if they're just going to push up and through. Kind of getting rejected at the EMA here. Okay, this resistance is holding, but also notice that you are making higher highs here. Looks like the short-term uptrend is struggling to play out. You would expect to break a new high of the short-term uptrend. It's possible this is maybe even a little bit steeper. Maybe it's already touched it, but we will just have to see. Nothing to really do here. I definitely don't want to trade into these lows. Even if you got a setup off of this trend line right here, like a lower high off the EMA and the trend line, I would not take it because of these lows. But now if you got a breakout pullback and a good setup, then that could be a different story. Okay, we are continuing lower. I'm going to tighten this up just a tad and say that this is probably touched off this trend line if it's correct. Still not convinced right now. Continuing to work in this range. Price is finding some support off this level. And it looks like we might get a lower high off the trend line, but again, not interested in taking it into this support level. It's also not off the EMA, which is one of the rules that I'm trading under right now. Okay, pushing up and through this possible downtrend, which makes me think it is either wider or it's invalid. So let's go ahead and put it back where I sort of had it earlier. Okay, I had it right there, and it's still pushed through there. Even if you went kind of as wide as you can, it's over here, and this is looking like it's not really going to fit super well, but I'll put it there just to see what happens. Not really expecting much out of that trend line. Price is just continuing to work sideways in this range. Okay, you get a nice little doji bar right there, right off the highs. This is a possible trade, but I don't know. So this would be kind of like a triple test type of trade in a down bias. You definitely have room to get out. It's just like a little bit of a weak little bar, but I don't know, maybe you consider that one. Let's see if there's room to get out there. I don't know, it's not the most compelling trade to me. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and ditch this major downtrend. Just gonna play it as if there's a downtrend with a break and new low. Now we're moving sideways, expecting a possible reversal. Moving a short-term uptrend now. I'm breaking out of this range, expecting prices to come back and test this resistance area that's been broken out of. Looks like a break of the short-term down or short-term uptrend is coming soon. And we might be coming back within this range. We were able to close above this level, so maybe it holds. Expecting an attempt at a break and new high of this. And it looks like we are going to hold this old resistance as support, moving up to test the break and new high of the short-term uptrend. Possible that you get some sort of trend like this here. I wouldn't want to take this trade. I don't do very well with breakout pullback type trades, especially with that being sort of the sole reason to take it. So I'm not interested in this signal bar here. You're stacking inside of this bar, clearly getting congestion here. Made a double top. Looks like this trend is not correct. And we're moving back within the range. It's possible the range parameter, the range high, is moving up to here where the double top is, but I don't see enough evidence for that so far, so I'm going to continue to play it as is. Even though the short-term uptrend does not have a break new high, this is a very convincing attempt, so I would be willing to just say, yeah, this is played out. At this point, I wouldn't be really watching for this break new high anyway, because prices have sort of moved so far. So it looks like prices are coming back within this range. See if they're able to hold this as resistance again. Doesn't look like it. I would bet that this range is probably dismantled. This range is probably played out now that you have the breakout pullback, and then now we are just in some other type of structure. So we'll have to see what this sort of goes into right here. Like I said, it could be a wider range, so maybe the range resistance is truly up here, but I'm not sure of that quite yet. Just sort of depends on how prices hold here, if they hold. Not seeing anything to do here. This is a tough trade, or a tough place to take a trade, because there is very little bias. So the downtrend's already played out, and now you're just going sideways. So I'm waiting for some type of trend structure to be created in order to be considering a trade for myself. Hopefully the day gets a little bit more interesting than this. I remember whenever it used to be really hard to sit in congestion like this, I would end up taking like a really bad trade, maybe like a second entry or something. Just let's say like maybe even this one. Like maybe I would take this, be like, oh yeah, prices are probably reversing. I'm gonna take this super congestive second entry that might be into some resistance. I'm glad to be a little bit better now and be able to avoid trades like that. It's funny though, because the process of getting better at trading takes so freaking long that I swear I don't even really notice that I'm improving a lot of times. Like it feels like I'm as good as I was a year ago, but I know that I'm so much better than I was. So that's why it's kind of nice to keep records of stuff like this. So keeping these, videos or live streams or whatever, I'm sure in a year I'll probably look back and be like, wow, I was such an idiot. Again, this is the type of, well, I've been saying this for the past couple days. This is the type of trading whenever I'd want to, read a book, throw on a podcast or something and just wait for something to happen. More than anything, I'm just bored. I don't really feel like, an itch to enter. So I guess it's not really like dangerous to sit here, but yeah, it's a little boring right now. Okay, well, I might eat those words. So we're breaking out of this support level. Let's see what happens here. I don't want to draw a downtrend too early. You could maybe draw one like through here, but I don't really want to draw that too early. I kind of want to wait for prices to show what they're going to do at this support level before I draw something like that. So you made a failed breakout so far, so prices are coming back within this range. Let's see if they're able to continue lower. Okay, maybe you get some type of downtrend like this. It's a possibility. So prices have made a breakout pullback and now they're continuing lower. Possibility of a larger trend, maybe like a spiking channel. Maybe something like that. Because you can see how prices are sort of like working down something here. So I think that this larger spiking channel could be correct, but it is starting at kind of an odd spot. It's possible that this trend is steeper too. I just don't have enough information yet, so it could actually be something like this. But let's just see what happens. Now that we've already made this kind of breakout pullback, I would be willing to take a short if you get a good short setup off the EMA. I'm going to draw the measured move from this range and see if prices end up holding off of this measured move at all. Okay, breaking that possible downtrend. Looks like you are sort of bouncing off this measured move. Maybe the resistance is a little bit lower, like where I had it at first. And the downtrend could be a little bit steeper. So this wasn't a very convincing breakout pullback right here. So this might be the true breakout pullback test of this prior support. So let's see what prices do here, whether they'll turn down or come back within this range. So I'm still not convinced of the spiking channel, but I just see that as a possibility. So you can see 1, 2, 3, possibly sort of 4 touches there. So ideally, what you'd see is maybe a second entry short off the EMA and confirming this spike and channel down. That's what I'd really like to see right now. So I'm expecting prices to test this this low for this downtrend. So expecting a break a new low here. The bias looks to be down to me. You're making lower highs and lower lows on a broader scale. So if we get a good setup off the EMA, I'll probably take that. So it looks like we might get one. We have a first entry here, so we might get sort of two legs back to the EMA, and that would be a trade that I would possibly take. Going to go ahead and put in an order.
Submitted.
Setting up like I would like to. So now what I'm waiting on is for prices to tick above this level, and then they would have to end 2 ticks or less from their lows of that bar. I do want to point out that prices are looking a little bit congestive here. You can see they're stacking within this larger bar. That doesn't necessarily mean that I won't take a trade, but it's something to point out. And they're looking really, really doji-like here. So ideally what I wanted to see was for prices to tick above, like see a constant move up and then a constant move down. But this is really looking like a congestive area right now. It's still possible you get an entry here. You could get something like a failed second entry. But let's just watch and see.
Order canceled.
I might have to adjust this spike and channel that I have down. It is starting in kind of a little bit of an odd spot because you're starting on this like double top right here, and I chose the first one. But let's just see. So if prices turn down early, then maybe I'll adjust it. Again, it still might not be correct, but right now it's looking like it could be. So clearly a little bit of a congestive area. If you get a nice little failed breakout that looks like it has sort of enough room to get out, then I'd probably be interested in taking that still. Okay, let's see what happens as prices touch off of this level. Looks like you might have just closed outside of it, and it might not be valid. I would still be interested in taking a trade here if you get a nice close below the EMA. This would be like a little bit of a failed breakout of this congestive area. Looks like 2 legs back. I don't love the fact that prices closed above the EMA here, and prices are being or moving up really strongly. So chances are there's not going to be an entry here.
Order canceled.
So going to take off this spike and channel. Doesn't seem like that's correct. Looking to see if we get 2 measured moves up. Okay, so I'm no longer really looking for a trade here. Still possible that we continue to trend lower, but now I am confused again. So downtrend has played out. You went into this range. You broke the range with this shorter term downtrend. This was not able to play out. It found support off of the measured move of the range. Got a short term uptrend, some congestion, and a break and new high that moved up a measured move. So let's watch what's going to happen now. Not sure, maybe if prices continue lower, you could see a similar leg down to this one. Generally, after a two-legged correction, you will see a measured move. But that's only if prices actually start trending down, because they could just continue higher. So we'll see. Possibility of a wider uptrend being drawn here. Looks like prices are attempting to hold the old support. Okay, so there might be a slightly wider uptrend working up higher. Looking like that is not correct. In fact, that might even act as a trap for people who went long right here. Still kind of holding the support level. So maybe that uptrend was right after all. Going to remove the measured move because it looks like prices are moving higher, holding the support. Let's see what a slightly wider uptrend looks like. So let's think about what's happening here. So you have again, a downtrend, break, new low. You go into a range type area, fail breakout, prices move a measured move down. This downtrend is not able to play out, and prices are moving up back within this range. It looks like this minor uptrend is correct. So if prices pull back to the EMA here, do I want to take a trade? I would still be scared about this resistance, especially with the support holding. So unless you have room to get out, I would say no. I would not be interested. Okay, moving up and through this resistance area did not prove to hold at all. So assuming we are continuing to move higher, I would be willing to take a long off the EMA. Pulling back to this trend line now. Let's see if it's able to hold. I'm on the fence on whether I need to ditch this resistance. Oops. Need to ditch this resistance. So I'm not sure if it's going to continue to hold here or not. Notice how prices have made a higher high than this one right here. So this is higher than that. Something might be changing here. Looks like the minor uptrend is breaking. If you get a good signal bar off the EMA, I'm not taking this one. It looks like a hidden second entry, but I'm still uncertain about this resistance up here. And it's kind of just one leg back. So I would not be interested in taking this trade. Just waiting on something as clear as possible. Good, so I'm thinking we might have a break and new high of this, but this is a pretty strong downtrend. Looks like we might just be playing within this range. Pretty uncertain what's going on. Not really anything to take from me right now. Clearly there's a short-term downtrend working down here. Strong short-term downtrend. Looks like this uptrend is not going to get a retest. Let's see what happens as prices come back down to this area where they turned up earlier. Also want to see if there's a possible spiking channel of any kind here. So you can press F4 and get a little ray right here. Let's see what we can get off the bottom side. Kind of feels like I'm just overfitting right now. I don't really like how that fits. You skip a lot of price action in here. Short-term downtrend gets broken. This is clearly just sideways action. Look at the EMA. You're going above and below and above and below with these pretty big swings up and swings down. So there's nothing for me to do here. You know, I imagine if anybody were watching this stream, of course, nobody's watching right now, but this is probably extremely boring trading to watch. There are so many more interesting strategies. So I've been sitting here for 3 days now. This is day 4 and haven't taken any trades. So I'm not necessarily surprised that nobody is really interested. Not to mention the fact that I am just a learning trader, doing the best I can. So, you know, it totally makes sense to me. Clearly just continuing to work in this range right now. So you're seeing prices not really playing out on either side. So this uptrend is not really playing out before you have this strong downtrend. Then you have this short-term downtrend that is also not playing out. So maybe prices are moving up towards this breaking new high, and this was solely the correction. It's possible there's maybe a little bit of an overshoot right here. So this was the downtrend, maybe you get an overshoot, and then now you're moving higher. Okay, you at least got a double top. This range does not look like it is correct to me anymore. Let's watch for the measured move up. Might have already hit it. Pretty close. kind of too early to draw a trend like this. It's possible that this is a larger two-legged correction before we're going to get another leg down. This is pretty far out right now, but let's say we turn down after these two legs, then that would be my target, though it is quite down there. It's a pretty far move, so let's see if prices turn down first before I start looking for that. Pretty strong up move right here, short-term uptrend. This is probably going to necessitate a break and new high of its own, even though this is sort of a retest trend. You don't always look for break and new extremes of a retest trend. If I were not only trading off the EMA, I think this would be an interesting place to enter because you've made two measured moves up. So now if you got some kind of lower high far from the EMA, that could be a decent entry. But that's not within my rules and probably out of my skill level. So not something I'm going to take. You got a break in new high of, well, a break in double top of the short-term uptrend. Congestive area. Now you've hit the break and new high for the short-term uptrend. My mind is wandering a little bit off of the chart, so we got to bring it back. It's possible you have a slightly larger uptrend off of that swing, but I'm not sure yet. Continuing to move higher past this measured move. Can you go ahead and remove that? So I want to see why our price is turning up right here. Could be because of something like that. This looks a little odd to me because originally I was thinking that this was the retest trend, but now this one is extending past the measured move and actually looks stronger than this one. So that looks a little bit weird, but I'm just going to keep playing what I see. Clearly moving up strongly. If you get a nice two-legged pullback to the EMA, I'm going to have to take that. This is a pretty strong move right here. So just continuing to move higher. Again, if we have a nice pullback to the EMA, I'll be interested in taking the long. So the night before last, I did not sleep too well. I remember waking up a few times during the night, and then I woke up early because I had to move my car. And I wasn't very tired yesterday, really at all. I felt fine yesterday, and I was thinking, wow, this is crazy. I thought I was going to be super tired. Well, it hit me today because I'm super tired today, but I slept great last night, and I got 8 hours of sleep and everything, but man, I've got a little bit of a headache, and I just feel super groggy right now. So I'm hoping that doesn't affect my trading. Definitely, I felt that my mind has been wandering a little bit more, so maybe that's part of it. But we're clearly just making or continuing to move higher. So again, if we get a nice pullback to the EMA, then I'll be interested in taking it if there's a good setup. So running through what's happened so far, downtrend, major downtrend, gets a break and a new low. The retest trend has a break and two legs to a new low of its own. So you can see this retest trend, break, two legs down. Then you move into this sideways range. The range initially started here. Looks like it expanded a little bit higher. And then you get a move out of the range with this kind of short-term downtrend. This is not able to get a break in new low. It turns up at the measured move of the range. Now you have a minor uptrend that gets broken with a short-term downtrend. The short-term downtrend gets a little bit of an overshoot. So if I were to draw it this way, and I believe it to be like this, where there's an overshoot and then prices reverse higher. So initially I thought that this trend was just going to hit the break and new high of this one, but now it looks to be a completely separate and strong trend of its own. Now I'm looking for longs as prices return to the EMA. So let's see if this trend continues to hold. It's possible this trend is a little bit wider. I don't really love how it's drawn right here, where it's cutting through this bar. So it's possible that it is a little bit wider, maybe like this, and that prices just came off of the opposite side here. So I'm a little bit unsure of where it is, but clearly there's something working higher here. I'm going to move it back to where I had it to see if prices end up holding that. And then if they don't, I'm going to extend it wider and see how prices react as they come back to the other level. So clearly working sideways in some congestive area. We're far away from the EMA, so I would not be surprised if prices snap back pretty soon. Attempting to hold that support level. Looking like prices are probably going to fail though. So still just working sideways in this congestive area, getting another doji. And we're breaking out of it. So of course it's still possible that this trend is correct, but I'm going to draw this one that I was playing with earlier, where prices are coming off of this opposite side, to see if prices react off of this level at all. I'm not sure about this trend. Prices are still strong enough though that if we get a nice pullback to the EMA with a good setup, that I'm still going to take it even though I'm not sure of this trend. Looks like the congestive area might be moved down a little bit. So you can see there was a double bottom right here with this wick, and then now it looks like we're holding off of this congestive area again. Just nothing to do here. Just gotta wait and see what's gonna happen. Just continuing to move sideways. Though we are making a little bit of a lower high here, and it looks like we're going to make a lower low. Let's see if this trend holds that I am uncertain about. Looking like it probably won't. I might stand corrected here. Questionable. So now clearly you have a breakout of the congestive area. So let's see what prices do. Are they going to come back within this congestive area? Or is there going to be a breakout pullback and then prices are going to head lower? Still interested in taking a setup off the EMA if one presents itself. You have a possible short-term leg working back here. I'm going to move this trend back to where I had it initially, which is right here, I believe. Something like that. So I'm thinking that there is still enough up momentum that I'm willing to take along if prices, again, have a good setup off the EMA, but that's all contingent upon there being an actual good setup. What might that look like? So it looks like there's a short-term downtrend here. I'd like to see maybe a break in new low and then a good signal bar off the EMA. That would be the most ideal setup, probably. Prices are looking really choppy here. Definitely not a clear leg back by any means. Short-term downtrend is continuing to hold, and we're touching off the EMA. It's looking like, at least how it looks right now, that I probably won't get a setup that I'm looking for. This is a pretty strong push through the EMA. It's actually a really strong push. So look how strong that close was under. It's a very big, strong bar right there. So pausing, looking for longs, waiting to see how this momentum dissipates. It looks a lot like this was congestion, there was a breakout, pullback, and now prices are headed lower. Just cleaning up the chart a little bit. This this is really just looking like a large range type day. So we started out in a downtrend, and then you can see we're just kind of flipping back and forth over the EMA. So there's no real clear direction. It's possible that prices sort of trend higher, like you have this like choppy trend higher. But right now, I'm just not really sure what's going to happen. So I'm not really looking for any setups right now. Watching to see if this minor downtrend is going to hold. This uptrend that I have drawn here could be entirely incorrect. Compared to the last few days, this is pretty tough to read price action, in my opinion. Getting a nice little congestive area right here. Prices are stacking and there's lots of dojis. Looks like this minor downtrend is continuing to hold. See, this is kind of the importance of adapting to the market and being dynamic instead of static in your analysis. So here I was thinking that there was enough momentum to take a long once prices return to the EMA, but then you can see prices trade through the EMA really, really strongly right here. And that tells me something that has probably changed, and I stopped looking for a long. So I know at least in the past, I wasn't able to flip-flop that fast. I would be watching this and still looking for a long, and maybe, maybe there will be a long, but at least after this strong flip through the EMA and then holding the underside of it with this minor downtrend looking like it's continuing to hold, I am just kind of neutral biased right now. If anything, maybe a little bit short biased. This congestive area still holding. Okay, looks like we're going to get a break of this minor downtrend, expecting a possible retest of the lows. It's a break, strong push above the EMA. I'm not looking for any longs here because I'm expecting prices to possibly test the break and new low of this minor downtrend. It's a very uncertain area right here. the first breakout of this congestive area, so this might act as a failed breakout, pushing prices lower. Okay, looks like prices are trying to make their way to that breaking new low. I don't know if they'll succeed. I do want to point out that prices came and bounced off this same support area from earlier. So maybe an interesting long setup could be if prices are able to hit this break and new low, create some sort of triple test, and then a nice move above the EMA. Just have to see what happens though. Almost done with my tea here, but I really think I probably should have drank some coffee today. Pretty tired still. Prices are attempting to hold the old resistance of this congestive area as support. Really just moving sideways here, no clear direction. So right now I'm thinking that prices would like to test this minor downtrend, break a new low, and I'm unsure of this uptrend that I have drawn, but it's possible that prices also want to test this break a new high right here. Really choppy and sideways action basically all day. Again, prices are flip-flopping the EMA constantly. For the most part, the EMA is sideways. It is moving up a little bit right here, but they're still just kind of flip-flopping it. Congestion. This is really dangerous to trade right here. That old resistance for the congestion continuing to try and hold as support, but prices not really able to push away from it though. You can see prices are struggling to close below that area despite testing it, but they're still not able to push away and higher. So it's a pretty neutral area. Okay, we're getting some push away here. I would not be interested in this setup. I'm just too uncertain about what's going on right now. Even though it is a, looks like it's going to end as a good signal bar off the EMA and a failed second entry short. So maybe someone would look to take that trade looking for the break and new high of this trend here, but I'm just too uncertain about what's going on. This is looking really sideways and uncertain to me. Going to pull up Discord, see if any of my friends have taken any trades. I'm in a small trading group with a couple of other guys who also trade price action. Just chopping higher here. There's really nothing that interests me in this area. Looks like this might be 2 legs up right here. So you might have 1, 2 legs up before you go and test the break a new low. Let's see. This old congestive resistance is really holding as some support still. Going to draw it as a separate support level. Still nothing to do in this area. Overall, I'm looking at a major downtrend that gets a break with 2 legs, move to a new low. This downtrend gets a break and 2 legs to a new low of its own before prices start moving sideways. The original range had resistance right here that then gets expanded up here. You move out of the range with a short-term downtrend that is not able to play out and bounces off the measured move of this range from earlier. You get a minor uptrend with a short-term downtrend that looks like it gets a slight overshoot, does not play out, and then you get a move to the break and new high of this uptrend. This second leg ends up being larger than the first one, which sort of throws me off a little bit. And now prices are just kind of moving sideways, as I think they would like to test the break and new high of this trend and the break and new low of this correction trend right here. So now we're just moving sideways and there's nothing for me to do. Looks like you're forming a slightly larger little congestive or small range area. You can see that here. So lots of little congestive areas, lots of sideways action, flip-flopping the EMA. This is a dangerous place to enter a trade. Moving lower out of the support area. Questionable close outside. Still just nothing that interests me here. Waiting for prices to start trending again. It's possible that there's a slightly larger range, maybe where the support is and that resistance. So that's a possibility, but I'm going to wait until prices sort of prove that to me. Possible failed breakout of this support might push prices higher. Looks like prices are making lower highs and higher lows in a wedge-like pattern. Got a protein shake here that I'm shaking up. shaping up to be another day with no trades. Just waiting for prices to break out in some direction or another. Okay, looks like we're breaking through that support. Still nothing to do. I'm a member of Max price action trading system forum, and he posts his day or his midday chart, so a chart around 10:30 a.m. each morning. So I'm going to check out his chart and see what he is seeing in the market right now, and maybe make some changes to mine. So his looks super similar to mine, actually. The only difference is he has the resistance of his range a little bit lower, about right there or right here. But I don't think that's a really big deal. Yep, nothing really there. So we're bouncing off the support again, making a triple test. You can see 1, 2, 3 tests. Maybe you'll get a nice push above the EMA. Even then, I don't know if I would take it, because there's just a lot of resistance up here and up here. A lot of uncertainty on where prices are going overall. This wedge doesn't really help you at all, but I drew it there just to keep it in mind. Looks like prices are getting really close to the break and new low of this minor downtrend. Not quite there. You made a double bottom. Still lots of uncertainty right now. I'm hoping the prices will start trending down and we'll get a measured move down, but I'm not sure how likely that is. Something like that. That'd be nice just to get some movement. Looks like we're still continuing to work down, attempting at the break and new low of the minor downtrend. Got about 1 hour of trading left, for me at least. If prices continue to move this slow, then I might call it early and go take a nap. Okay, looks like we are testing this support level again. And we're able to break through it, so we now have a break and new low. Let's see how we're looking as far as the measured move down goes here. Almost touching that measured move down. Thinking about setups that I might be interested in. If we saw a nice surge above the EMA and a setup above the EMA, maybe I'd be interested, but again, there is this resistance level here, and then another possible resistance level there. I only say that because there's been these 2 legs down, and this was a pretty strong move up. But it's looking like prices might continue to move lower here. So, let's see. We didn't quite make that measured move, but we were one tick off, so that's pretty dang close. Moving higher, you could either say this is a slight failed breakout below that support level, or it's just kind of a bounce off of it, because you can see there wasn't a very convincing close outside. Strong push above the EMA. So what about a higher low here? Again, I would just be kind of hesitant to take one there because of that resistance. You can see there's this triple test here, 1, 2, 3 there. So I don't really want to trade into that. There's not a super obvious reason to go long either. This is very choppy price action. Continuing to move up strongly. So I'm considering whether I would actually like to take a higher low here. So if there is a tick below this bar and a nice bullish bar, do I really want to take that? I know I'm definitely hesitant because of this resistance, but it sort of depends on how it sets up. Doesn't look like I'm going to get that set up anyway. Still moving up pretty strongly here. Looks like prices are attempting to test this high. Testing this resistance area that I was pointing out earlier. Let's see what happens. So I need to be careful because I can tell that I would really like to take an entry, and that can be dangerous because I'll start ignoring certain things or trying to see things that aren't actually there. So that's something that I need to watch about myself. So it looks like prices are rejecting off of that resistance area that I was pointing out. I don't think that short-term uptrend really helps you at all. Let's see what's going to happen here. It looks like prices are exploring for a range parameter. So this could end up being a range, and the highs could be something like there, or they possibly could be there. it feels like prices are testing those areas to see. Looks like that might be correct. And I previously had that support here. It could actually just be the midline. Super low volume day. If you look at the open, which was right over here, there have only been, well, 111 bars. I don't really know if that's a lot. I don't know what the average is for a day, or at least for this far, but it doesn't look like a lot of price action or a lot of bars have printed to be this point in the day to me. Definitely feels slow, that's for sure. Getting really bored now. There's just nothing to really do and nothing to really say here. Price is just chopping around. If anything, this is useful practice in being patient, almost like meditating or just being very, very bored. Okay, we're finally breaking out of this resistance area. Getting some movement. Let's check and see how we look with this measured move. Clearly a breakout here, expecting prices to come back and test this resistance area. So we've achieved this break in new high, and we've achieved this break in new low. So those were my two sort of targets there. I wasn't sure exactly which one prices were going to hit first, or whether prices were going to hit either one at all. But now they've hit both. So you can see the minor downtrend gets a break in new low. Looks like 2 legs down. This uptrend after the 2 legs down now has its own 2 legs up to reach the break in new high. I could see maybe a lower high if there's a lower high with a good signal bar coming back into the EMA and expecting prices to test the resistance here. If that happens, then I could see that as being a good setup, but something that is outside of my rule set, so not something that I would take. remove that larger measured move. I put that there in case prices continued to trade lower. It's still possible that if prices start to trade lower, that there might be a measured move down, but I'm gonna just hold off on that. Just interested to see if there's a larger uptrend that fits, but I don't see anything. I don't want to draw anything like that. That doesn't look correct to me. Going to redraw the short-term uptrend that I took off earlier, just because it looks like 2 legs up. So I'm getting bored if I'm popping my fingers. Continuing to move higher despite hitting these 2 legs up. You're not working off of a trend line right here, but there is still a possible one. Still expecting prices to come back and test this resistance. Now that they've broken out, you can see there's also sort of a gap here where prices broke above this bar, and then the furthest they've come back to test is right here. So there's kind of a gap from here and here that prices are probably going to fill. Not always, but I would say most likely going to fill. So thinking about possible setups that could occur that I'd be interested in. If this uptrend continues to hold for another touch, proving it, and then we get a break of that, and prices come back and test the EMA and this old resistance area and hold that as support, that is something that I would be very interested in taking. It's a pretty specific set of criteria, pretty specific scenario, So we'll just watch and see if it happens. Price is continuing to work higher, making me think that this trend is probably correct, even though you hadn't touched the main side of it again. I know right now I'm feeling like I would really like to take a trade, which is a dangerous place to be, because I should really just be indifferent about whether I take one or not. This is the 4th day though, so far. I mean, if I don't take a trade today, then this will be the 4th day in a row that I don't take a trade though. So I know that that is going to affect me psychologically a little bit. So it's something that I have to watch out for. Whatever setup I take, I have to make sure that's really a good setup, and I'm not taking it just because I'm getting antsy and want to take a trade. I would be very interested in taking a long. Again, I would really like to see prices come back and test this breakout, but even if they don't and there's a nice setup off the EMA, then I might still be willing to take that. I want to see if prices are moving towards maybe a measured move of just that first leg right there. So even though this is technically your first leg, it's possible that we just get 2 measured moves of this one. So just want to keep an eye on that. continuing to work higher here. It's possible this trend is a little bit tighter. So that way prices are touching right there. I do like the way that fits. So hoping we get a two-legged pullback to the EMA, looking for a break and new high of this trend. If we hit this measured move up and turn down and then get that two-legged pullback, I'll definitely be a little bit more sketched out about taking it. I might still be willing depending on how it sets up, but uncertain. I have about 30 more minutes of trading before I'm off. Depending on what happens, I might cut it a little bit early. Just continuing to work higher. Very slowly. Going to be interested to see what happens as prices touch on this measured move, assuming they get there. I've been fidgeting around with this ruler that I had on my desk for the past few minutes. I've been thinking about getting a webcam for the live trades as well, because I think it would be interesting to see what kind of tells I have whenever I am about to take a trade. Like, are my shoulders tensing up, and am I getting super focused on the chart, or, stuff like that. Also, I don't know, could just be cool for whomever is watching to see me as well, I guess. I don't know. But where I was going with that is it'd be funny because I'm kind of, fidgeting around with this thing or stretching or, whatever. So it'll be interesting, if I start doing that. That I'll probably stop doing those sorts of things. I can't imagine how slow prices used to be. Like if you look at the really old charts, so like 2015 or 2013 or something like that, the 2000 tick chart, there are so few bars, it's crazy. I can't imagine watching all day just to see that many print. Like this would be probably a pretty high volume day in like 2015. But I started trading about 3 years ago. So whenever I started, it was super volatile, and it's just been kind of slowly dying down. And so to me, this feels really slow because that's not what I'm used to. Although this is probably more similar to like a normal market. Okay, looks like we might be breaking this uptrend. So let's see if we can get some sort of setup off the EMA. I was about to say hopefully, but again, I need to be careful because I should really be indifferent about whether a trade sets up or not. So just gotta watch out for that. I mean, in the end, it really doesn't matter whether I take one or not. I mean, if there's a good setup, I'll take it. If there's not, I won't. I mean, that's really all there is to it. Expecting that you might find some support here because there was previously some. So let's say if prices just pull back and there's a good signal bar off the EMA, I would not take that because it's just a one leg down. It's not a very high probability setup in my opinion, or at least not here. Sometimes it might be. So it doesn't look like this support area that I thought might hold is going to. Short-term downtrend continuing to work down. Okay, you get a slight tick higher right there. So there's the possibility for a second entry long coming off the EMA. Looks like the support area that I drew earlier is actually coming into play a little bit. If you do get a second entry long, there's a chance that it's blocked by a short-term downtrend. So let's say you come down here and you get one here. There's a chance that it's blocked. Does that mean that I won't take it? Not always. Just have to see how it sets up. Okay, we're picking up some momentum to the downside. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. That looks right to me there. It's possible you get a second entry long here. If you do, depending on how it sets up, I might or might not take it. Definitely having the short-term downtrend here sketches me out as far as trading into that. So now we close below the EMA. That's not a very good sign for taking the long. Again, there's still a possibility that I take one. We'll just have to see how prices play out here. Chances are this will be the last setup that I consider for the day, considering there's only about 20 more minutes in the trading day for me. So even if the second entry triggers, I will not be interested because the signal bar did not break lower than this one. So you can see this bar right here. This bar right here did not break lower than that bar right there. So even if this triggers right here, I won't be interested, though I might be if you get a higher low above the EMA or a higher low off of the EMA after this. It's looking like prices are just going to continue higher though. Maybe not. Short-term downtrend looks like it's coming into play just a little bit. Possible close outside of the short-term downtrend. If you get a higher low above the EMA here with a good signal bar, I might be interested. There's some bars stacking though. You can see there's 3 bars stacked with 1 doji. Looks like you're sort of building out another congestive area. Wouldn't be surprised if this ends up being a little bit of a range here. Okay, we're moving higher. It's pretty unlikely that we get a setup here that I'm looking for. Looks like prices are finding some resistance off of this previous double top. Let's see if they're able to get up and through there. I'm expecting prices to move to the break and new high of this uptrend right now, possibly reach this measured move. If they're able to do that, and then we get a strong push below the EMA, maybe I'll start looking for some shorts. But right now, looking for a long looks like it is probably not going to happen. It just wasn't a very good setup. Going to zoom back out here just to get an idea of exactly what's going on. I'll run through everything that I'm seeing again. So I see a major downtrend that gets broken with a short-term uptrend that has a break in 2 legs to a new high. There's then a minor downtrend that moves to the break and new low of this major downtrend from earlier. This downtrend gets a break in 2 legs to a new low of its own before prices start moving sideways in this range. Initially, the resistance was right here. Prices move up and out and hold off of that resistance. And then the resistance ultimately moves higher for the range. So it's right here. Prices then move lower in the short-term downtrend, breaking out of the range. There's no break in new low of this short-term downtrend. And prices bounce off of the measured move. So you can see these dotted lines right here are the same distance. So you can see 4.25 and 4.25. This is the same distance as this range. They bounce exactly off of that, move into a minor uptrend, working higher. As they go higher, prices are attempting to find resistance off of the old support level. They congest and then they move higher, make a breakout pullback of this congestion, bouncing off of the old support and continuing to move higher in this minor uptrend. There's a short-term downtrend here that gets a slight overshoot. Prices then move up to the break and new high of this minor uptrend. This uptrend ends up being sort of its own uptrend. So initially I was looking at this and just saying, okay, we're just looking at 2 legs up here. And this was just a move to a break and new high. But then it ends up holding as its own uptrend and requiring a break and new high of its own. So now you have a minor downtrend that breaks this uptrend from earlier. And now prices have 2 different targets. They want to reach this break and new low, and they want to reach this break and new high right here, which causes this sideways congestive area where it's very uncertain what's going to happen. Now, prices end up moving to the break and new low and creating a measured move down. So you can see 2 legs down right here before prices start to move higher again, reaching the break and new high of this uptrend. So everything has now played out at this point. But prices continue to move higher, and I'm looking for a possible measured move of this leg right here. So a measured move of this leg right here to see if there's a second one up there. Now that this uptrend has been created and been broken by this short-term downtrend, I'm looking for a possible break and new high of this uptrend and for prices to come up to that measured move that I just mentioned earlier. Prices created a double top and now have created a triple test. So there's clearly some resistance here that prices are struggling to get through. I drew a range here because I saw that there was this congestive area right here that prices broke out of, and they came back and they tested it. Combined with that double top makes me think that there could be a range right here like the one that I have drawn. Also note that this short-term downtrend was not able to play out, so that tells me there's something stronger in the way holding prices from doing that. Alright, so we've now moved to the break and new high of this minor uptrend right here, and we've reached the measured move. So I'm interested to see, are we going to turn down now, or are we going to continue to trend higher? Just gotta watch and see what's going to happen. It looks like this range was probably not correct where I had it drawn, but there's clearly some resistance right there. I don't think that congestive area is super helpful. I am going to draw some support here. So I don't think it was a true range, but I do think there is resistance here and there is support here. This might come into play later with this short-term downtrend having failed to play out there. So generally after a trend plays out, I would expect a reversal. So now that this uptrend has played out and you've reached this measured move up, I really want to see a strong move through the EMA to prove to me that that was the correct read. And if I see that, then I'll probably know, or I'll know pretty much for sure that yes, I was correct. We're getting pretty close to the time whenever I'm going to stop trading, which is 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. So chances are there won't be another setup for me to take, or another possible setup for me to take. So far, the only trade that I've seen that I was somewhat interested in was this green trade down here. And the reason that I was thinking that I might be interested in this is even though there's a break and new low of this downtrend, which is really what I was expecting, there's still an overall down bias where prices are making lower highs and lower lows. And this is a very clear resistance area. You can see prices turned off of it 1, 2, 3, and then this would have been the 4th time the prices turned off of it. There's room to get out for 1-to-1 here, and it's a decent signal bar. It is sort of a small doji bar, and with prices already having the break and new low of the downtrend, and you're only playing a down bias, I did not take this trade, but this is the most interesting trade that I've seen so far as the rules that I'm trading, which are taking good signal bars off of the EMA. So we're getting a pretty strong up move right here where prices are moving sort of well past this measured move. Just going to continue to watch and see what happens. You're getting a pretty strong move up here, so this could be some sort of exhaustive move. I want to watch and see if prices are able to reach the overnight highs, as this is the next sort of key level that I think prices might be interested in. If prices are able to get that or get up that high. I know there's not a setup that I'm going to be interested in for the rest of the day. There's only about 7 minutes left. Even if you had a pullback to the EMA, I'm not going to take that. So I'm going to go ahead and end this stream here. So that makes day 4 of not taking any trades. One of those days was a shortened day. But yeah, usually it doesn't take that long for me to find one. So either I'm being a lot more picky than I'm usually being, maybe because I'm on this stream, I'm being more picky. Either that or there's just not really anything that I've been interested in, or maybe a little bit of both. Anyway, that's it for today, so I'll be on most likely tomorrow.